Now, qualifications of a black leader, 7 essentials, I would say. And anybody that has any other ones after we go through this, you can add to it. And I didn't put these in any particular order. So they're just 7 things that I thought were essential. Like if you don't have these 7, whatever, you're not qualified. Number 1, has a knowledge. That's supposed to be A, not N. So my bad on the grammar. Has a knowledge and understanding of the history of our people from ancient times until now. One of the issues that we have now because of our identity crisis is based in the lack of knowledge of our history of our people from ancient times, meaning before slavery, meaning before European invasion, before Arab invasion, going all the way back to the time, even before we can see the clear invasion and influence of the Hyksos into ancient Kemet, which was approximately 3,700 years ago. So a person has to have a comprehensive understanding of our history, our culture, and our traditions for at least the last 4,000 years. We eliminated a whole lot of people right there. Now, y'all tell me, do we understand why that's the case? And y'all tell me if y'all disagree. As I sit here and try to figure out, let's see. Okay. Just want to make sure my computer isn't going to lose power while I'm here. So do we agree on that? Y'all let me know whether or not we agree. Okay. Brother Land says absolute must. Number 2, has a thorough knowledge of our enemies and can identify them and their tactics. We just eliminated a whole boatload of people with this. As I said before, everybody can talk about and identify white supremacy. Very few people can identify Zionist hegemony. Right? Now, Brother Irritate, Genie Straight Black Pride, the Nation of Islam Research Group, myself, but I'm part of Straight Black Pride. I'm trying to think who else. I'm sure there are some other people. I'm trying to think currently, people who have put out information identifying our enemies, their tactics, their strategies, and their effects on us in a way that the people can easily comprehend. A few years ago, when I first did the Africa versus Everybody lecture, the first one, I came to the realization before I did it. My motivation was that we don't think we have enemies. The reason it's important to understand and know you have enemies is because if you don't know you have enemies, you will blame all your failures on yourself and your people without the understanding that someone is opposing you. Right? So it's the difference. I'm going to use a sports analogy. If you were playing basketball and you were just shooting around and you were trying to perfect your shot and you were trying different shots and you were missing everything, you would come to the conclusion, you're like, man, I really suck. I can't shoot at all. I need to give this up. Well, how much different would it be if you looked and you could see that there's somebody there who's standing at the rim that's 6'8" and they're just batting away all your shots, or they're tipping them, or sometimes they're taking them off the rim when it hits the rim. You would then understand that you have one, an opponent. Two, you be able to see the size of the opponent, and three, you be able to adjust your tactics. Suddenly you realize, oh, I got opposition. I'm not as terrible as I thought I was. I have an opponent that's making things much harder for me than they are. How many times have you heard black people say, N words ain't you know what? Oh, black people this, black people that, black people can't do this, black people can't do that. Yada yada, blah blah, yada yada, blah blah. On and on and on to the break of dawn, as they used to say. And Brother Lance says, looking at this list, if we adopted these guidelines, the overwhelming majority of today's leaders would be disqualified. This is why most people don't want a code of ethics. Oh, Brother Lance, about to make you famous. Again, looking at this list, if we adopted these guidelines, the overwhelming majority of today's leaders would be disqualified. This is why most of these people don't really want a code of ethics. I concur with that assessment completely. We haven't even gotten past number 2. Most people don't have a thorough knowledge of our enemies, cannot identify them, nor their tactics. Even though the last slide earlier, showed you some of our enemies and their code. And the funny thing is, you can go to the World Economic Forum and go back and look through stuff that they've said and see it implemented and be like, okay, the enemy I need to pay attention to. They're making things happen. They literally, and I put this in a couple of different videos, they literally had a test run before the pandemic, approximately 10 weeks before the pandemic. All I'm saying is you go to the World Economic Forum site, or you put in Event 201, it comes up and they give you all the information. You can make of that what you will. You think it's a coincidence? Hey, you think it's a coincidence. You think it's strange? I found it very interesting when I saw it. I first put that out. Hey, in fact, that may have been the video that they deleted. Now that I think about it. But they still got it up. Anyway, I downloaded it, but as far as I know, they still got it up on YouTube. That means that they think people are so, I guess they think people are so naive that they can leave it there and then people won't connect the dots, so it doesn't even matter, I guess. So, number 3, fearless. Hey, hey man, look, I'm gonna keep it 100. This European Urugu is no joke. I have no idea why my other computer doesn't work. I'm going to assume it was just a random thing because this computer is working. But I wouldn't be surprised in the least if the opposite was true, because I had a much longer list of things and information that I want to put out. Those types of things and tricks and stuff they've been doing for decades, going back to even before the COINTELPRO that we talked about earlier. You could lose your job. We we have brother. I know brothers personally lost their employment. But Brother Genie, what am I talking about? Brother Genie lost his employment when they found out who he is and what he was doing. You can lose your reputation. You get, I mean, we saw the COINTELPRO. You can come under personal attack. You can be slandered. You can be lied on. You can be locked up. You can have a mysterious heart attack or aneurysm. Stepping up and speaking out, organizing, teaching, training, and resisting evil is not good for your health in a global white domination, Zionist, hegemonic world. It is what it is. We all, black people, especially in America, all have an innate understanding of this at a subconscious level. That's why the black leader and leaders have to be what? Fearless. And Brother Dawood said at our age, we definitely fear a whole lot less. I would, this is what's so funny about what you're saying. To me, the most fearless people are the young people and the old people. At both ends, from an African perspective, you're closer to the ancestral realm. The young people just came from the ancestral realm. The older people are headed to the ancestral realm. And therefore, for two very different reasons, you have less to fear. That's why what the enemy sometimes will do, they're like, okay, well, you're fearless. I'll attack your family. They're not fearless. That's why when you watch these movies with the gangster movies and stuff like that, what do the enemy sometimes do? They're like, oh, you're not going to pay me back. I'm going to kidnap your daughter. I'm going to kidnap your wife. Kidnap your son. We see how, okay, you fearless. You ain't worried about yourself. Cool, fine. All right. We'll attack your weakness. That's how the European thinks. That's why it's important to when you watch these entertainment and stuff like that, to understand that you're looking at the mind of the European. So watching it for entertainment is one thing, studying it is another. Number 4 is in this was in the in the COINTELPRO. Charismatic. You know, black people. There is a large percentage of black people who, if you don't have some charisma, we're not gonna listen to you. It doesn't matter how profound what you're saying is. Peace to Black Pearl Inc. I don't think I've seen you before. I'm glad you were able to join us. There is you have to have some modicum of charisma in order to be able to get black people to listen to what you're saying. That's why Dr. Collins talks about he gives information and inspiration. That's why he brought levity and fire in the same presentations. Because I mean, let's be honest, when you a lot of times, at least when I know when I do, like so I do presentations and I talk about very heavy stuff, and I can feel the weight of it on people, and the mood change. With like, oh my god, you know. Black Pearl Inc. says been here before. Okay, cool. Glad to have you back. Um, and so you have to have the ability to lighten the mood and to lift the people up, because sometimes the information you give them will weigh them down. So you have to have the ability to alter that mood. Like Dr. Collins said, give information and inspiration. But I think, man, Malcolm X made a quote about that too, but I cannot remember it right now. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a long day. Let's see. Number 5, has the ability to produce more leaders like himself. Remember when I talked about those old army manuals and intelligence manuals where they talk about training people for 3 positions down? Here you go. True leaders make leaders. Even though they should be ahead of the game, there should be people who are along the path and at some point are at least halfway through where they were, so that they can pick up the mantle when that leader is gone. We should, even though you never retire as a revolutionary, let's say, we should be, if we have effective leadership, they should be able to, that's the word I'm looking for. They should be able to pass on the mantle when they get to an advanced age where they're no longer to do the things they can do physically just because of age or health. There should be someone waiting in the wings that can pick up or they can pass the battalion to the what they call the thing, the baton. Y'all know what I'm saying. Pass the baton to, and that person can move, and that person or people can move forward. Um, Mama Marimba Ani is very much a student of Dr. John Henry Clark. Baba Walima Barudi is very much a student of both. And he's been very instrumental in carrying on that tradition and bringing us vital cultural information that we need. And that, I'll be completely honest, without his writings, I would not be the person I am now. Not even close. So that's an example of passing the baton and affecting a whole new group of people. Even though, of course, I was familiar with both Dr. Clark and Mama Rimbani because Dr. Clark was alive when I got knowledge many, many moons ago. Let's see. Great organizational skills. Nothing, nothing, nothing can be accomplished without organization. The root of the word is organic, meaning alive or life. We had some great orators. I could name someone who's a great orator. Phenomenal. I believe sincere. Has not shown very much on that organizational skills department. Part of having great organizational skills is being able to trust people, to being able to delegate authority. So it's a huge part of it. A lot of people struggle with that part. And last on this list, but I'm sure people could come up with more, visionary. The ability to see things before they manifest. The ability to see the enemy's moves even though they aren't readily apparent. The ability to see enemies and to be able to rank them in level of threat. The ability to see the road ahead for our people, even though how we get there is not apparent to anyone involved. We have, I ain't gonna lie, we have very few visionaries nowadays. And if y'all know who they are, I mean, you ain't got to put them in the chat. You can hit me up. So most of y'all have my information. Y'all let me know. But when I look, I see very few visionaries nowadays. And our visionary, or to be visionary for Black people, it has to be outside the confines of European dominated thought. It has to be, as Baba Rudy would say, a sovereign vision for Black African people, which means it has to be outside the confines of Euro domination. You can't have a Black vision that's only limited to the United States of America. because America is New Europe. Your vision has to extend beyond the confines geographically of America and beyond the time frame of the existence of America, both backwards in time and history and forwards in time to the future. Your vision can't be confined by that. Your vision can't be confined by the existence of Europeans. Your history has to go back before their establishment and beyond their existence. Why? Because we existed before they existed, and we don't exist after they're gone. So you have to have that type of vision. Baba Rudy talks about the African tradition of planning 7 generations in advance. That takes vision. So that is the last slide in this discussion on the qualifications. And I would say that other people may be able to look at this and add to it. But to me, these are 7 essentials qualifications of a Black leader. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cash App is $DC Radical, the numeral 1. Thank you again.